topic of this video is the life cycle permanent income model of consumption and saving. The decisions on how much to consume and how much to save are intimately linked. Once you earn income and you've paid your taxes, you have to decide how to split that income between consumption and saving. This model makes predictions about how people do that. It has a long title because Franco Modigliani came up with the life cycle model and Milton Friedman came up with the permanent income model. After people looked at the two models, they figured out that they were really the same model, but just emphasized different aspects. So let's see what this model does. This model makes assumptions about human behavior, and it yields predictions that hold quite well in practice. Here are the three key assumptions of the model. First, people prefer to smooth their consumption over time rather than experiencing feast or famine. 2, people are impatient. 3, people are forward-looking when they make their current choices. Let's examine each of these assumptions. So the first is that people prefer to smooth their consumption over time. So suppose someone experiences income that fluctuates wildly over time. For example, let's suppose that the path of the income is that green line that goes back and forth from month to month over time. Our assumption is that even with erratic income like this, people would prefer to have smooth consumption. They don't want to eat like a king one month and eat like a pauper the next month. They would prefer to have a pretty stable standard of living. So even if income is erratic, consumers want to smooth their consumption. Now, how does this relate to saving? Well, saving is equal to income minus taxes minus consumption. For now, let's assume there are no taxes, just for simplicity. Well, then saving would occur at each of these points where the arrows are. Those are points when income is greater than consumption. So that's when saving occurs. Similarly, dissaving occurs when income is below consumption. So dissavings occurs when income is less than consumption. So quiz yourself. Suppose you lose your job, but expect to find a new one soon. What should happen to your saving while you are unemployed? It should fall since income is temporarily low. You don't want to starve while you're unemployed, so your saving will go down and you'll dissave. How about assumption 2? People are impatient. If interest rates were zero, we assume that people would prefer to consume somewhat more today than tomorrow. So if we made a path of consumption over time for somebody who faces zero interest rates, it would be downward sloping. They wouldn't consume everything today and nothing tomorrow because they do want to do some smoothing, but all other things equal, they'd like to consume a little bit more today than tomorrow. But with positive interest rates, consumers are willing to delay some consumption because being so impatient is costly. So positive interest rates work against this general preference to be impatient. And so if interest rates are high enough, you can have consumption paths increasing over time. Assumption 3 says that people are forward-looking when they make their current choices. When deciding how much to consume and save today, people base those decisions on their expectations of future income and consumption needs. So, suppose we have a typical income profile over somebody's lifetime. So age is on the horizontal axis. Often the profile looks something like this. It rises from when you're young to a peak when you're middle-aged. Now, when you're young or when you're middle-aged, you might experience some unemployment, in which case income temporarily goes down, but then recovers quickly. As you get older, then you might decide to retire, and so you have a period of retirement where income goes down. Because labor income typically rises until retirement, in the early years, typically your consumption is greater than your income. In the middle years, your consumption is less than your income. And in retirement, your consumption is again greater than your labor income. So how do you achieve the smoothing if the income path looks like this and you want to smooth consumption? Well, you do it by borrowing and lending. So this model has some interesting implications. First, when deciding on consumption, households don't look at only current income. They also consider their wealth and their permanent income. That is, the income they expect over their lifetime. Second, because they want to smooth their consumption, they don't raise their consumption much in response to a temporary increase in income. In fact, this means that people will save most of a temporary increase in income. Suppose you win a lottery that pays you $5,000 all at one time, and it's only going to happen once. Well, then according to this theory, you're not going to have a party and spend all $5,000 as soon as you get the payment. Rather, you'll save most of it and then spread it out over time. Third, if the current increase in income is expected to be permanent, people will raise their consumption more than if it were temporary. And fourth, if people expect their future income to rise permanently, they will save less now. So quiz yourself. Is it foolish for you to consume more than your income while you are in college? No, according to this model, if you expect to have significantly higher income later, it's actually optimal for you to consume more than your income now and to borrow. And that is as long as the interest rate on your student loans are not too high. So to summarize, the life cycle permanent income model assumes that people want to smooth their consumption, are impatient, and are forward-looking. Saving occurs when consumption is less than income. How people respond to a change in current income depends on whether they think the change is permanent or temporary.